This professionalism meant death, as Swedish artillery killed hundreds with each volley, especially among the Imperial right.
Battle of Jankau.
The epic Battle of Freiburg in 1644 showed that the Holy Roman Empire still had enough strength to defend against the Franco-Swedish alliance. But the empire was getting low on resources, their allies were leaving their cause, and their enemies were on all sides. A new Swedish offensive in 1645 proved able to push the Habsburgs to their limit, as the brilliant commander Lennart Torstensson was eager to outshine even his late king Gustavus Adolphus. The Battle of Jankau was a great chance to prove
the way how Gustavus Adolphus died, bro, that's still...
Although the Bavarian leader prevailed
bro.
in the Battle of Freiburg using his defensive skills, Mercy's indecisiveness gave the French commanders the opportunity to recall most of the nearby
garrisons. We are good.
And within 24 hours, more than 6,000 men were marching to join them.
Imagine being...
The Bavarian commander probably knew that the enemy would be shortly reinforced and decided to retreat. His army still lacked horses, so retreating into the open would have been dangerous. Simultaneously, the French might have gone for Mannheim or Stuttgart, and losing these cities wasn't an option. As a result, on the 7th, Mercy moved to a more defensible St. Peter Valley. The French received their reinforcements the next day, and started chasing the Imperials on the 9th. However, due to lack of knowledge of the terrain, the French advance was slow, so Condé sent General Rosen and his cavalry to cut the Bavarian retreat. On the 10th, Rosen almost succeeded in doing that, but the slowness of the extremely tired French infantry didn't allow Condé to build on Rosen's actions. By the end of the day,
some long-ass weapons
broke through the French cavalry and was in Villingen. Condé stayed in the area for a day, taking the imperial outposts, and as Freiburg's strategic importance was lower than that of the regions of Baden and Württemberg, the French began their march north. Mercy changed his trajectory and started moving parallel to them. However, he was still wary of the enemy cavalry and therefore moved with caution. This meant that he was too far away to do anything when Condé besieged Philipsburg on the 25th of August and took it on September 12th. This threatened Stuttgart and Mannheim, which forced Mercy to get closer to the French and start building fortifications at Neckarsul. Condé possibly thought about attacking, but winter was coming, so the campaign of 1644 was over. To the north, Torstensson was preparing for the campaign of 1645. He now had around 16,000 troops and an agreement with the French and Transylvanians to attack Vienna together, while the Protestant minority in Upper Austria was asked to revolt. It was expected that this four-pronged attack would finally break Habsburg resistance. The empire's situation was dire. Denmark left the war and was negotiating with Sweden for a future treaty, which meant Torstensson was free to attack. Gallus's action basically destroyed the imperial army in the area, so the new commander Hatzfeld had to rebuild it from scratch. Reinforcements from Bohemia, Hungary and Silesia brought his numbers to 12,000, but those were untrained and badly equipped troops.
Not really that big.
Asked the emperor for more troops.
Not really that big.
Ferdinand III pleaded with Bavarian Elector Maximilian I to help, and the latter sent a letter to Mercy ordering him to send a portion of his force. Indeed, General Werth and his 5,000 soon joined Hatzfeld at Pilsen, where the new imperial commander was trying to weld his soldiers into a real army. However, Torstensson wasn't going to give his foes the time they needed, and began his campaign months earlier than expected on January 19th. The Swedes moved into Bohemia via Pretznitz 5 days later, completely surprising Hatzfeld and crushing a few of his outposts in the process. Unfortunately for Torstensson, he fell ill, which slowed down the advance. That and the thawing allowed the Imperials to somewhat recover. Still, when the Swedes passed them from the east on the 18th of February, Hatzfeld was in a difficult position, as Torstensson could have attacked either Prague or Vienna. it became clear that the Swedish commander was going for the capital of the empire, and Hatzfeld force-marched his men south, managing to reach the town of Herestevitsa first on the 25th. This allowed him to secure the crossings of the Votava River. For 4 days straight, the Swedes attempted to cross by attacking head-on and by attempting a feigned retreat, but nothing worked. So on March 2nd, Torstensson moved west, which made the Imperials abandon their positions and pursue him. Once again, the Swedes were slower, as Hatzfeld double-timed his soldiers to take positions at Tabor. Indeed, on the 4th of March, the tired Imperial army was in the town with the Swedes to the northwest. With no time to lose, Hatzfeld moved to the north again, this time establishing a defensive position near the village of Jankau. Soon, Torstensson was in the area.
So today's the day.
At this point in the
You know, the one thing about this war that I've noticed is the uniforms are so damn interesting, bro.
war, both armies liked to send cavalry detachments to
The uniforms, bro.
So when large concentrations
Oh my
happened,
goodness.
the armies were unusually cavalry heavy. The Imperials had 11,000 horsemen across 50 squadrons and 5,000 footmen in 6 brigades, supported by 26 guns. Although the Swedish army was similar in terms of the numbers, it was far superior in terms of training, equipment, unit cohesion, and most importantly, unlike Hatzfeld, Torstensson had the complete obedience of his subordinates. The latter also had artillery advantage with 60 guns, alongside 6,000 infantry in 8 brigades and 10,000 cavalry in 47 squadrons. On the afternoon of the 5th of March, the Swedish army approached the Kotishenka River. Their commander ascended to the top of Hill 554 to observe the enemy. His counterpart occupied a great defensive position among the hills and woods, which limited the Swedish artillery advantage and made any frontal cavalry charge impossible, so Torstensson had to think of a better plan. Around 5 AM the next morning, part of his right-wing cavalry joined him on the hill, and then turned left and started marching north. Hatzfeld was informed of this, and deduced that although his left flank was more vulnerable, the Swedes would attack from his right. Meanwhile, the rest of the Swedish army reformed in the dark into columns, with infantry on the left, cavalry in the centre, and guns and baggage on the right, and started moving to the south. Swedish cavalry to the north was making much more noise, but Hatzfeld was still not sure about his left flank. The highest elevation in the area was Chapel Hill to the southwest of his position, and the Imperial leader probably wanted to use this high ground to get a better idea of what the Swedes were up to. However, it is not clear if the commander of the left wing, Gotz, was ordered to move his entire force to occupy Chapel Hill, or just create a forward outpost there. Hatzfeld himself went to his right flank to conduct a personal reconnaissance, which basically left his army leaderless. Gotz either misunderstood the directive, or decided that it was a good moment to show his disobedience, so he started moving the first echelon of the Imperial left towards Chapel Hill. While most of the troops marched slowly, the dragoons were double-timed with orders to occupy the elevation. They established themselves on the hill, but around 7:30 AM the Swedish vanguard was in the area, and the dragoons fled without offering any resistance, soon informing Gotz. The latter concluded that his foes were trying to get their own forward outpost, and continued towards Chapel Hill. Simultaneously, Hatzfeld finally started to understand that Torstensson had tricked him, and no attack was coming from the right. He personally galloped towards Gotz to inform him that the Swedes would attack from the south or southwest, but when he reached the left flank, he only found the second echelon under Pompei, and these troops were also going for the elevation. Enraged, the Imperial commander rode to find Gotz. Although Gotz moved fast, he didn't scout the terrain ahead, and had no idea that the Swedes had already formed up on the hill and to the west of it. At 8:15, he ended up around the village of Nozakov, and almost immediately his disjointed units were attacked by the enemy. That was the moment when Hatzfeld at last found his unruly underling. Gotz was ordered to retreat, but began to argue and insisted that they needed to retake Chapel Hill. It is not clear if Hatzfeld was persuaded, or just decided that the only way to save his wayward left was to bring the whole army to the area, but he started galloping towards his main forces. Gotz's troops were attacking, but these attacks were disorganized and easily repelled by the Swedes. As their artillery arrived at Chapel Hill, they started sending deadly volleys against the Imperials.
Or the Swedes need to redeem themselves. They need to redeem themselves, bruh. They need to redeem themselves. After the way freaking Gustavus died, bro.
Ever stubborn, Gotz refused.
They gotta clutch up, man.
His personality held his troops together for some time, despite all the losses. However, around 9 a.m., Gotz was...
Yo, the charisma. Yo, you know that dude's in the group, and he's the freaking hype beast, bro? I can only imagine that shit, bro. Like Marshall Ney when he freaking escaped from Russia, bro, because he kept his shoes together because of his freaking flamboyant personality. Yo,
killed by musket fire, and that broke his troops.
Boom. He was a hype beast. He was a hype beast, bro. Oh my goodness, it had to take him dying for his troops to break. What a goat, bro. Shout out to that man. What a goat.
He started pursuing them, but by that time, the Imperial footmen under Zeus were able to form a defensive line in the woods to the south of Nozdorov.
Freaking ultra giga Chad.
The charge was repelled, but as Zeus's infantry had to move fast, they left their artillery behind, and now were under withering artillery fire from the Swedes. Unlike Gotz, Zeus wasn't too proud to retreat, and quickly repositioned in the forest to the northeast. Torstensson smelled blood and was eager to destroy the enemy here and now, so he sent part of the cavalry to take Hill 535, which threatened the south of the Imperial infantry.
Where the hell did they get these names from? Hill 535? Where did that name come from?
Fortunately for the latter, Hatzfeld soon arrived and reformed what remained of Gotz's cavalry. He then repositioned to the south of Zeus just in time to repel the first attack by the Swedish squadrons. Now that the entirety of Torstensson's army was between Chapel Hill and Hill 535, he attacked Zeus head-on and reinforced his right flank to push Hatzfeld, who was in turn reinforced by Wirth's left flank cavalry. The initial Swedish attack in the center was repelled, as part of Wirth's cavalry charged from the flank, but the Swedes continued, and slowly but surely, the Imperials were pushed back by their superior arms and guns. It was impossible for Hatzfeld to continue his resistance, so by noon he ordered the army to disengage and retreat to the north. Although the Swedes attempted to chase their foe, Wirth managed to use his cavalry to expertly cover the escape. The Swedes showed their excellent discipline and formed up in their initial alignment with cavalry on the wings and with the center consisting of infantry and cavalry. They captured some of the artillery lost by the enemy and placed it on Hill 537 alongside the road.
Bruh, where are these names coming from? We got 548. Where are these names coming from?
Despite the fact that his army was clearly the winner of the battle, Torstensson wasn't eager to chase the enemy across broken terrain, so he decided to allow the Imperials to flee.
Too cautious, my man.
Meanwhile, Hatzfeld was worried that his battered army would not survive a fighting retreat, so he was going to wait until sunset in order to avoid the Swedes. To that end, his troops formed up between Jankau and Herzen, where he had previously erected 1-meter-high fortifications. On the left, he had Wirth's mostly intact Bavarian cavalry, with Bruy commanding whatever was left of Gotz's cavalry and the 2nd Echelon cavalry from the center on the right, with an infantry brigade joining them. In the center, he positioned 5 infantry brigades and Kallenberg's Saxon cavalry reserve alongside his artillery. He now had just 9 guns and had no chance to survive any artillery duel, so he hoped the uneven forest terrain would cover his army. The Imperials also claimed Hill 548 as a forward outpost. The Swedish commander learned about the new Imperial disposition and concluded that he couldn't leave a strong enemy in his rear and march for Prague or Vienna. So around 1 PM, he sent 400 musketeers with 10 cannons to take Hill 548. The German infantry unit occupying it retreated without offering any resistance. Hatzfeld rebuked Suess and Bry for allowing it to happen. After ordering them to retake the hill, he returned to Herzin. And once again, his instructions were misunderstood and his captains sent almost their entire force to take the hill. A disproportionate...
I also misunderstood what you were saying. Bro, what? Okay. I interpreted this in 2 ways. Initially, not like simultaneously, I thought 2 things. I'm like, does he mean like take a small detachment and retake the hill? Or does he mean use everything we have to retake the hill? So I can't even blame him, bro.
Response that took them out of their great defensive position, to say the least. Obviously this counterattack succeeded, and the Imperials drove back the musketeers and captured all 10 guns. However, this action showed Torstensson that the enemy was still in the area in full force. He immediately sent his left under Douglas and centre under Mortenia, while Wittenberg's right was left as the reserve, with guns on Hill 537 providing artillery support.
Why can't they retreat?
The fact that the Swedes had artillery on that hill was a great surprise for the Imperials. Artillery just wasn't as mobile during that period, and the fact that it was moved into new positions so quickly proved the professionalism of the Swedish army.
Oh, they're cooked.
A new military tactic that would become key in the next century.
They are cooked, bro.
For the Imperials, this professionalism meant death, as Swedish artillery killed hundreds with each volley, especially on the Imperial right. Indeed, when Douglas's horse attacked here, they easily dispersed the enemy, breaking them and sending them into full flight, while Bry was killed. The Swedes weren't as successful in the center, as the high ground allowed the Imperial footmen to dig in, and the guns they had captured were effective, so Mortenia's charge here was stopped, and the 2 sides were then locked in a bitter melee. The Imperial left flank was relatively unscathed, and was ordered to attack Torstensson's right side. Wittenberg didn't expect this attack, and it took his troops by surprise. Most of the first echelon was routed, while the second was now chased by Wirth, who was probably eager to destroy it and then swing back north. During the chase, the Swedes retreated close to their baggage train, and that was too tempting for the Imperial troops. They allowed the Swedes to slip away and started looting.
No! The Imperials could have clutched. I thought the Imperials were about to clutch. What? No. They literally could have clutched this, bro. They could have clutched this. Oh my goodness.
Wives of the Swedish officers were captured here, including Torstensson's wife.
What have you
Eventually, 5 squadrons attempted to continue the chase, but
they're cooked.
Had reformed their ranks.
They're cooked.
Their counterattack began around 2:30 and was fast and furious. The Bavarians didn't expect that and were completely routed in a matter of minutes.
Yep.
This proved
literally could have won the battle.
To be too much to the least disciplined part of the Imperial army. The Saxons recently joined the Habsburg cause and just weren't as invested. Immediately after the left wing was crushed, Kallenberg ordered his horsemen to leave the field, abandoning Suess's infantry to their fate. Hatzfeld's only remaining cavalry attempted to wheel around the center and attack the Swedish center from behind, but Mortenia had enough reserves to block them, and soon Douglas sent reinforcements who crushed this detachment. Hatzfeld's infantry was surrounded on Hill 548. Although they managed to defend for an hour, soon it was all over.
Imagine you pull off a decisive move and you get greedy. Like, dude, the baggage isn't gonna go anywhere. The baggage isn't gonna go anywhere. Wait until after you win. Oh my gosh, bro.
The battle was very bloody, and the winners lost 2,000 dead and as many wounded, while the imperial casualties were more than 10,000, half of them prisoners, including Hatzfeld and many other officers. The inability of the imperial commanders to strike an accord, alongside the superiority of the Swedish troops and officers, proved to be too much for the Habsburg army to overcome.
That's so stupid. So stupid.
The road to the Habsburg capital was open, with
I just can't stop shaking my head.
Closer to complete victory than his late king Gustavus Adolphus ever was. But not.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I am happy for the Swedes that the Swedes were able to freaking, you know, at least, you know, avenge Gustavus or whatever, you know. But like, that just really, God, that just really, just stupid shit like that, bro. Just.
Everything was so simple, and our next episode will prove it. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button. We would like to express our gratitude to our Patreon supporters and...
What the... Bruh. I genuinely thought I was gonna see something so clutch, bro. So damn clutch. Whatever, man. Look. This was a suggestion by my subscribers. If you have any suggestions, if you let my reactions, comment in the comments below. Eventually, I will do it. Guys, check out my channel. Membership is only 99 cents a month. Guys, it's worth it. It's all the perks that you get. The link is going to be in the channel comments, in the pinned channel comments. Go check out my other reactions if you like this one, man. You know, thank you for watching. Bruh, I'm still mad at what I witnessed, honestly. I'm just mad, bro. Like, that, oh my god. Whatever. Freaking brain cells, bro. I lost brain cells, if I'm quite honest with you. But anyways, bro, like go check out my other videos, man. Thank you for watching and goodbye.